Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Let's get started. Are NATO and Vladimir Putin pushing the world to the brink of World War III? Are things headed in a dangerous direction? The Russian president has drawn yet another red line and issued a warning. What lies ahead? We decode that in just a bit. And here's a look at what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. Russian ally North Korea is showing off its nuclear might. North Korea has disclosed the first photos of a uranium enrichment site designed to produce weapons-grade fuel for its nuclear bombs. What do these images tell us about North Korea's nuclear program? And what does this move mean for tensions on the Korean peninsula? Meanwhile, tensions bubble as Russia accuses British diplomats of spying. We get you the complete story. Air taxis will soon be a reality in India. We tell you all that you need to know. All this and more coming up. Are NATO and Russia dragging the world towards World War III? For the past several months, we have said this. Well, today, their actions seem to be tantamount to playing with fire. The Russian President Vladimir Putin, who has warned the West against provoking Russia amid the Ukraine war, has drawn yet another red line. He has warned the West. Speaking in St. Petersburg on Thursday, Putin sent out a clear warning to the West. Don't let Ukraine use your long-range missiles to strike Russia, or else Moscow, he said, views that as the direct participation of NATO countries in the Ukraine war. Listen in.
If this decision is made, it'll mean nothing less than the direct participation of NATO countries, the United States and European countries in the war in Ukraine. This is their direct participation. And this, of course, significantly changes the very essence, the very nature of the conflict. This will mean that NATO countries, the United States and European countries are fighting Russia.
Now, Putin's statement comes as the US and the UK discuss allowing Ukraine to fire Western weapons into Russia. Kiev has asked them for permission to strike Russia with them ever since the war started, but the US-led NATO has been hesitant, fearing that this would drag them into direct war with Russia as well. Never mind the fact that Russia has frequently accused the NATO of being an active participant in the Ukraine war. But of course, Russia has drawn red lines earlier, and countries supporting Ukraine have crossed them earlier. On the 24th of February 2022, when Putin announced the start of what he called his special military operation in Ukraine, he issued a warning to, quote-unquote, those who may be tempted to interfere from the outside. He said that no matter who tries to stand in Russia's way, Russia will respond immediately. Of course, Western leaders ignored what was widely interpreted at the time as Russia's nuclear saber-rattling. A dangerous gamble, perhaps. Because since the threat was issued, the West has provided Ukraine with billions of dollars worth of military gear. They have given Ukraine heavy battle tanks. They have given Ukraine advanced missile systems and most recently F-16 American fighter jets, all in defiance of Russia's red lines. In fact, this year, Russia has already accused Ukraine of using American long-range ATACMS missiles to target Crimea, the Ukrainian peninsula that was, remember, annexed by Russia in 2014. So isn't this testing Russia's patience? Isn't the NATO then escalating the conflict in a way? What if Russia executes the warnings that it has been issuing to the West? As it is, over the last 2 years of the war in Ukraine, Russian officials and the state media have on many occasions accused the West of quote-unquote fighting Russia. Isn't then the latest remark by Putin further proof of the fact that he considers targeting international Russian territory with Western missiles as crossing the limit? It sounds like Putin is very clear. If Western weapons are shot at Russian territory, it would take the current conflict to a whole new level. Of course, what he did not say is how Russia would respond to this potential escalation. Will it respond by pressing the nuclear button? After all, the Russians have warned of nuclear provocation, and Western media reports routinely talk about the threat of nuclear escalation. Could Putin's potential response take that turn is the question. In June this year, he did offer some clues during a meeting with the heads of international news agencies. Putin was asked, how would Russia react if Ukraine was allowed to hit targets on Russian territory with Western weapons? His answer was simple. He said, and I'm quoting, "First, we will, of course, improve our air defense systems. We will be destroying their missiles. Second, we believe that if someone is thinking it is possible to supply such weapons to a war zone to strike our territory and create problems for us, why can't we supply our weapons of the same class to those regions around the world where they will target sensitive facilities of the countries that are doing this to Russia, quote unquote." In other words, Putin suggested arming the enemies of the West with weapons that can be used to strike Western targets abroad. But you see, despite claiming that Russia could arm the West's enemies, Putin has so far been rather restrained on following up his words with actions. And then Ukraine's surprise incursion into Russia's Kursk happened last month. Russia set back in Kursk, and the counteroffensive it has launched this week led to fears that Putin could be forced to escalate the war elsewhere and by more extreme means. What if the Ukraine war spills out to the rest of Europe? NATO countries in the Baltics already fear that a war could break out there. And what's more, earlier this month, Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister, Sergei Ryabkov, also said that Russia will revise its nuclear doctrine. You know, the document that lays out under what circumstances Russia may consider using its nuclear weapons. Make no mistake here, this is no routine exercise that nuclear powers carry out. It is directly linked to the war in Ukraine. In fact, Ryabkov said that the reason Russia was revising its nuclear doctrine or considering that was because of the escalation by Russia's Western adversaries. And let's not forget, Russia has been accused of waging a hybrid war against the US and its allies in Europe. So it is clear the danger of an accidental conflict is here. The British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is in Washington for talks with President Joe Biden. And among the issues the two leaders are expected to discuss is the question of Ukraine and long-range missiles. He has already, in fact, put the onus on Russia to end the war. But you see, Western leaders will need to decide what is greater: lifting restrictions on Ukraine's use of Western missiles or stopping the war from escalating further. After all, the NATO's next move could spark World War III. Shifting focus for now, Russia's security service FSB on Friday revoked accreditation of 6 British diplomats in Moscow, accusing them of spying and carrying out sabotage, all in aid of Ukraine. This announcement, you see, did not happen in a vacuum. It came just hours before US President Joe Biden and the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer were scheduled to meet in Washington, D.C. to decide on the next steps for supporting Ukraine in the ongoing war against Russia. So what does this really mean? Was this a strategic move by Russia to overshadow the talks? Or was it its way of flexing its muscles and reminding the world who is in control of the narrative? Reportedly, the major crux of this discussion between Biden and Starmer is on providing long-range weapons to Ukraine. And like we just told you, Putin has said that such a measure will lead to an all-out war. According to reports, the FSB, the successor to the Soviet-era KGB, claimed to have possession of documents indicating that a British Foreign Office department in London responsible for Eastern Europe and Central Asia was assigned the objective of securing Russia's strategic defeat in its war against Ukraine. In a statement, the FSB said that the activities of British diplomats sent to Moscow were deemed as a potential threat to Russia's national security based on the recently revealed information, and that this prompted the relevant agencies to revoke the accreditation of 6 staff members from the British embassy in Moscow. Also adding that these individuals were found to have engaged in activities indicative of espionage and sabotage. According to The Guardian, Russia had made up its mind on revoking the accreditation of the British diplomats back in late April after the police in the UK had arrested British nationals who were allegedly planning an arson attack against Ukrainian-linked businesses on behalf of Russia. But it was only announced in a statement on Friday morning, just as Biden and Starmer prepare for talks on supplying long-range weapons. So is this expulsion of British diplomats part of a larger strategy to intimidate the West into backing down from providing Ukraine with more advanced weapons? And if so, will it work? Reportedly, the identity of 6 diplomats was revealed on Russian state TV along with the photographs of theirs. Russian media also put out surveillance footage of the 6 Britishers, including a covert video of one diplomat where they can be seen talking to someone. Let's just take a step back here. Why release that kind of information to the public? Is it about accountability, or was it a calculated move by Russia aimed at stirring up anti-Western sentiment? As per reports in Russian media, the FSB stated that Russia would expel more British diplomats if they were found to be engaged in similar activity. In fact, Reuters quoted a Russian newspaper, Izvestia newspaper, as saying that the FSB has accused the British diplomats for recruiting Russian teenagers and holding talks with them in the British ambassador's Moscow residency. The aim of these diplomats, as per the report, was to work with these teenagers and create divisions among different ethnic groups and migrants. The report also said that many people coordinating Britain's work for Ukraine in Russia were working for British Foreign Intelligence Services, MI6. On a post in Telegram, the Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman, Maria Zakharova, said the activities of the British embassy in Moscow had gone far beyond the limits outlined in the Vienna Diplomatic Convention. As per multiple reports, the UK's Foreign Office in a statement said that the accusations made by the FSB against their staff are completely baseless. The Russian authorities revoked the diplomatic accreditation of 6 US diplomats in Russia last month, following action taken by the UK government in response to Russian state-directed activity across Europe and in the UK, quoting, "We are unapologetic about protecting our national interests," quote unquote. So how will this latest escalation actually affect the diplomatic ties moving forward? Is this just the beginning of a broader diplomatic purge aimed at pushing Western countries further out of Russia's orbit? And how exactly will the West respond? Will we see further expulsions of Russian diplomats from Western capitals in return? One thing is clear, this latest move by Russia is not just merely about the 6 diplomats. It's about the ongoing power struggle between Russia and the West. The question is, how far will this go? Who will make the next move, and how much further can this go really before it reaches a breaking point? And our next story is about Russian ally North Korea's nuclear muscle. It is showing off its nuclear might. North Korea has disclosed the first photos of a uranium enrichment site designed to produce weapons-grade fuel for its nuclear bombs. What do they tell us about North Korea's nuclear program? What does this mean for tensions on the Korean Peninsula? What's the intention behind this move? Our report taking a closer look.
For the first time, North Korea has shown images of the centrifuges that produce fuel for its nuclear bombs. As leader Kim Jong-un visited a uranium enrichment facility, he has called for more weapons-grade material to boost the arsenal. Kim Jong-un visited the Nuclear Weapons Institute and a production base for weapon-grade nuclear materials. He has urged workers to produce more materials for tactical nuclear weapons. According to him, the weapons are needed for self-defense and the capability for a preemptive attack. The photos gave a rare glimpse inside North Korea's nuclear program, which is banned under multiple United Nations Security Council resolutions. The photos showed Kim walking between long rows of metal centrifuges, the machines that enrich uranium. The report did not make it clear when the visit occurred, nor the facility's location. Not just that, state media also released still photographs of Kim overseeing the test launch of a new 600 mm multiple launch rocket system and inspecting the training base of Special Operation Armed Force of North Korea's army to guide a combatant's drill. How has South Korea reacted? It has condemned North Korea's unveiling of its uranium enrichment facility, saying it will never accept Pyongyang's possession of nuclear weapons.
North Korea's illegal development of nuclear weapons is a clear violation of multiple United Nations Security Council resolutions and poses a serious threat to peace on the Korean Peninsula and the world. Under no circumstances will we or the international community never accept North Korea's possession of nuclear weapons, and North Korea must clearly recognize this.
North Korea is believed to have several sites for enriching uranium. What exactly does that mean? Well, uranium is a radioactive element that exists naturally. To make nuclear fuel, raw uranium undergoes processes that result in a material with an increased concentration of the isotope uranium-235. In fact, analysts say commercial satellite imagery has shown construction in recent years at the main Yongbyon Nuclear Scientific Research Center, including its uranium enrichment plant, suggesting possible expansion. Estimates of the number of North Korean nuclear weapons vary widely. In July, a report by the Federation of American Scientists concluded that the country may have produced enough fissile material to build up to 90 nuclear warheads, but it has likely assembled closer to 50. Why have these photographs been released now? What message is North Korea trying to send out? What is the intention? According to an analyst at the Asian Institute for Policy Studies, the North is more able to scale up its highly enriched uranium stockpiles, sending a message to the international community, especially the United States, that it should recognize North Korea as a nuclear state.
North Korea is constantly sending a message that it is an irreversible nuclear state. So if there's a negotiation with the United States, it would make a deal inside the framework as a nuclear state.
What would the latest move mean for the tensions on the Korean Peninsula? Are things headed in a dangerous direction? Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Let's now talk about what's happening in Pakistan. The police and the powerful army seem to be at loggerheads. For 4 days, hundreds of Pakistani policemen have been protesting, blocking a highway and raising the banner of revolt against the Pakistan army. This is the first known instance in Pakistan of uniformed personnel staging a sit-in protest. The policemen are angry. They have accused the Pakistan army and the ISI of meddling in their daily duties. You heard that right. The protest started on the 9th of September when hundreds of policemen blocked the Indus highway in Lucky Marwat district of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. This highway links Peshawar in the northwest with the southern port city of Karachi. They blocked this highway to protest alleged military interference in their regular duties. Police officers from surrounding districts, including Banu, Dera Ismail Khan and Tank, joined their protesting colleagues. Political parties, local tribal leaders and the civil society groups also joined the protest, as per reports, to mark their solidarity with the police.
हर रोज मेरे हलके में पुलिस थानेदारों सिपाहियों के घर में मिलिटेंट घुस के उनको घरों में मार रहे हैं.
Killing policemen inside their own homes. The police has united and is urging the army to withdraw from the region. Speaker serves the witness. Give us a month. Either we will stay or the militants will stay. But the army has to withdraw.
मिलिटेंट्स हैं, बदनामी हैं. एक महीना हमें दे, या हम रहेंगे या मिलिटेंट रहेंगे. आप मेहरबानी करके चले जाएं.
In fact, they say that the concerns of the police are indeed justified. Recent statistics reveal a rather troubling situation in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. In August alone, there have been 29 terror attacks, resulting in 25 fatalities. Just this year, roughly 75 police personnel have been killed in ambushes and targeted killings, and the protesters blamed the ISI and the Pakistan army for worsening the situation in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. Lucky Marwat, where the protest is taking place, is located on the periphery with the restive tribal region that borders Afghanistan. Lucky Marwat and its neighboring districts have been particularly hard hit by terrorism. Police officers, security personnel and government officials have frequently come under attack here. Remember, the Taliban have frequently targeted Pakistani policemen and police stations in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. The fact that police officers have taken to the streets just shows how dire the situation really is on the ground. The policemen are protesting because every few weeks their colleagues are either kidnapped, ambushed or killed by terror groups. And in some cases, houses and families of cops have also been targeted, and the cops blame the army and the ISI for this. They have accused the Pakistan army and the ISI of routinely interfering in their work. They expressed frustration at the duplicity of the Pakistan army, saying that their game of good and bad Taliban needs to come to an end. The police personnel say that they arrest the militants and then get a call from the military to release them. And so the anger against the Pakistan military has reached boiling point. So what do the protesting cops really want? What are the demands? It's very simple. The army needs to withdraw so that the police can work freely. One protesting cop said, and I'm quoting, "We promise to restore peace in the area within 3 months if military officers stop their interference."
In the south, these operations will continue. We will succeed in driving out militants, and we will collaborate with the security forces. Without this collaboration, we won't succeed. This collaboration will continue.
सक्सेस मुमकिन नहीं है, तो ये कोलैबोरेशन जारी रहेगी.
The criticism of Pakistan military and especially its powerful ISI has long been considered a red line by some elements in the country. So, the police protest signals a massive failure on the part of both the administration and the security forces to effectively combat militancy. Senior officials of the local administration in Lucky Marwat are engaged in talks with the protesting policemen to try and resolve the standoff, but the real face of Pakistan military has been exposed in a way. Let's now move on to West Asia, where Israeli defense forces have reportedly destroyed an Iranian underground missile factory in Syria, a development that many can say is straight out of a spy thriller, perhaps. And if you go with the reports and what they are saying, that's exactly how this plays out, according to American news website Axios. On Sunday, IDF's General Staff Reconnaissance Unit destroyed an underground factory for precision missiles built by Iran in Syria's Hama province, located near the border with Lebanon. Israel reportedly had informed the U.S. in advance about this operation, and no objection was raised by the Americans on it. Reportedly, the factory's destruction was aimed at deterring the efforts of Iran and Hezbollah to produce medium-range precision missiles in Syria, giving them the ability to perhaps hit targets deep inside Israel with precision, which could include military bases, ammunition factories, among other such high-value targets. Israel is yet to issue any comment on the matter, perhaps fearing that responsibility could provoke Syria, Iran, or Hezbollah into retaliation. In fact, reports in Syrian and Israeli media claiming that the IDF's operation took place on Sunday night alongside heavy Israeli Air Force airstrikes in several areas of western Syria, including near the city of Masyaf, where the IDF operation took place. As per reports, Syria's health minister has said that at least 18 people were killed in Israeli airstrikes on a number of military sites in Masyaf. Experts said that the airstrikes were a mere distraction for the Israeli operation that helped Israeli special forces catch Syrian guards at the facility by surprise, and to prevent the Syrian army from sending in enforcement troops to the factory. Reportedly, many Syrian guards lost their lives in the operation. Once inside the factory, the Israeli forces reportedly filled it with explosives and blew it apart. As per the Axios report, Iran began constructing this facility along with Hezbollah and Syria 6 years ago, after Israeli airstrikes had destroyed many of Iran's missile production units across Syria. The decision to build this facility underground with the mountainous region was reportedly intentional for multiple reasons. The first priority was to ensure it is impenetrable to Israeli airstrikes. The second was due to its close proximity to Lebanon, which basically allowed quick transportation of missiles to Hezbollah. As per the Axios report, Israeli intelligence knew about the facility for the past 5 years and monitored it closely. They also had a code name for the facility called Deep Lair. Israel had twice contemplated destroying the facility but decided against it, as it deemed the operation to be too risky, reportedly, especially given that the airstrike could have limited impact on destroying the facility. It's not the first time that Israel has struck high-value targets in Syria's Masyaf region. In the year 2017, Israeli jets reportedly struck a base where chemical weapons and missiles were being produced, as per reports. And since the war in Gaza broke out in October last year, monitoring groups said that there have been at least 60 air and artillery strikes against 140 targets across Syria, leading to over 200 casualties. The ground operation, however, is reportedly unusual and the first of its kind by Israel in recent years. In July, Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh, remember, was assassinated in Tehran. Earlier in April, Israel carried out an airstrike on the Iranian embassy in Damascus, Syria. 16 people were killed in the strike, including 8 officers of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Following the attack in April, Iran fired over 300 missiles and drones on Israel, most of which were intercepted and caused limited damage. Iran has further promised to avenge the killing of Haniyeh and threatened Israel publicly on several occasions with retaliatory attacks. Now, it remains to be seen whether this latest attack prompts Iran and its allies to execute an attack against Israel that could potentially lead to an all-out regional war. Regardless, one thing is clear: the tensions in West Asia continue to remain high. Differences over Taiwan's status is one of the major flashpoints between the US and China relations. The most lethal US unit has been reportedly training Taiwan to fight a possible Chinese invasion for over a year. According to the latest news reports, SEAL Team 6, the US Navy commando unit that killed Osama bin Laden, is training Taiwan at its secret base near the Virginia beach. Members of the team, one of only 2 hyper-elite Tier 1 Special Operations squads in the US, are preparing to deploy to Taiwan in the event that China's People's Liberation Army crosses the Taiwan Strait. Time and again, the CIA has indicated that China's People's Liberation Army is capable of mounting an invasion on Taiwan by 2027. With a population of just 23 million and a military of over 160,000 service personnel, Taiwan is dwarfed by China's population and military strength. The island nation has been trying to up its military and weaponry game under President Tsai Ing-wen earlier. Last year, Taiwan ordered over $1 billion support in weapons and services from the US, including infrared tracking systems for F-16 jets, munitions, spare parts for aircraft, and technical support. The US trusts SEAL Team 6 to carry out its most sensitive operations. The Navy SEALs, officially called the Naval Special Warfare Development Group, tests, evaluates, and develops technology and tactics for all naval warfare. The team's legacy was secured when it conducted a raid on Osama bin Laden's compound in 2011, killing the mastermind behind Al-Qaeda's 9/11 attacks. The US military stepped up its military preparations after 2021. This was when then US Indo-Pacific commander Phil Davidson warned that China could attack Taiwan within 6 years. Throughout his term, Joe Biden, remember, has maintained that US forces will assist its ally if Beijing tries to invade the island. Taiwan recognizes itself as an independent country. It has governed itself, in fact, since its separation from China since 1949. China views the island as a part of its own territory and has vowed to eventually unify Taiwan with its mainland. Shifting focus now, North Israel is in flames from Hezbollah's rocket barrage. Early on Friday, the Lebanon-based Hezbollah group fired some 20 rockets towards the northern Israeli city of Safed. The rocket barrage sparked a large blaze in the Birya forest, causing minor damage to a building in another community. No injuries were reported in the attack, but the Lebanese group said they had targeted a military installation in revenge for the deadly strike in southern Lebanon a day earlier. According to the Israel Defense Forces, some 20 rockets were fired towards Safed at around 1 a.m., setting off alarms in the city and surrounding towns. The IDF said that the majority of rockets were intercepted and the remainder fell in uninhabited areas. Sirens in nearby areas were activated over fears of falling shrapnel from the Iron Dome interceptor missiles. As fire broke out in the forest, firefighting crews were dispatched to the scene, which eventually managed to get the blaze under control. Safed lies some 13 kilometers from the border with Lebanon. Attacks that deep into Israel are relatively uncommon. Hezbollah, in its statement, meanwhile, claiming the attack, said that it had launched the barrage as revenge for what it said was an Israeli strike in the village on Thursday. The Iran-backed group claimed to have targeted a key air defense site north of Safed. On Wednesday, Hezbollah reportedly launched around 100 rockets into Israel, and on Thursday, dozens more were fired. On Thursday, the Lebanese Health Ministry said that 3 people were killed and 3 others were injured in a strike on a village located some 10 kilometers from the border with Israel. The Lebanese Health Ministry said that an Israeli enemy strike hit the village near Nabatea. The last several days, in fact, have seen cross-border fire appear to intensify somewhat. Since the war broke out in October 2023, Hezbollah-led forces have attacked Israeli communities and military posts along the border on a near-daily basis. The Iran-backed group says in doing so in support of Palestinians in Gaza. In fact, so far, the skirmishes at the Israel-Lebanon border have resulted in 26 civilian deaths on the Israeli side. 20 IDF soldiers and reservists have also died. Meanwhile, Hezbollah has named 438 members who have been killed by Israel during the ongoing skirmishes. Boeing faces a major disruption as 30,000 factory workers in the Seattle and Portland areas voted overwhelmingly to strike, with 96% in favor of the walkout. The workers rejected Boeing's contract offer, which included a 25% pay increase over 4 years. Union leader John Holden announced the strike decision. Listen in.
All right, so tonight our members voted across Puget Sound, Portland, Moses Lake, Victorville, Edwards Air Force Base, and other remote locations. This is about respect, this is about addressing the past, and this is about fighting for our future. Our members rejected the contract by 94.6%. And they voted to strike by 96%.
The strike is the first in 16 years and comes at a time when Boeing is already struggling with chronic production delays and mounting financial issues. The International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, representing Boeing's largest union, has stated that the strike is about addressing past grievances and securing a better future for its members.
Boeing has to stop breaking the law, has to bargain in good faith, and we will be back at the table whenever we can get there to drive forward on the issues that our members say are important. Congratulations, machinists.
Newly appointed CEO Kelly Ortberg faces a significant challenge as the strike begins. Ortberg had attempted to avert the walkout as per reports, warning workers that no one wins in a strike and that it could further damage the company's recovery efforts as per reports. Boeing has already lost over $25 billion in the past 6 years and has faced production issues. With the strike set to begin, Boeing's recovery and reputation face further strain. Let me now ask you a question. How would you feel if one morning you wake up and your favorite coffee jar is empty when you filled it to the brim the night before? In Uganda, this is happening at coffee farms. Farmers are tackling a challenge, coffee theft. But what's really going on? Our next report telling you.
In the lush landscapes of Uganda, coffee farmers are facing an unprecedented challenge: theft. As global coffee prices soar, so does the risk for those who grow this vital crop. Coffee theft in Uganda has reached alarming levels this year. According to two major farming associations, the thefts have hit unprecedented levels. The root cause? Soaring coffee prices. Global prices for Robusta coffee, a variety favored for instant drinks, have hit their highest levels since the 1970s. This price spike has driven up farm gate prices in Uganda, where unshelled Robusta beans, known locally as kiboko, have surged by up to 65% this year, reaching a record 7,000 shillings or $1.89 per kilogram. The rising coffee prices have made farms highly attractive targets for thieves. This surge in theft has created significant insecurity among farmers. While exact statistics on coffee theft are scarce, farming associations report a sharp increase compared to previous years. The police and government have yet to publish comprehensive data, but the trend is clear. Food and beverage theft is becoming a global issue. Last year, over 20% of all stolen products worldwide were food and drink items, up from 17% in 2022. In response, Ugandan farmers are turning to innovative security measures. Some are employing night guards, installing fencing, and even using bees to deter thieves. The buzzing hives are meant to scare off would-be robbers, adding a layer of protection. The impact of theft extends beyond immediate loss. Thieves often strip beans from trees, damaging branches and reducing future productivity. Additionally, quality suffers when unripe cherries are stolen, affecting both farm income and the market. The government aims to boost coffee production by 20 million bags by 2030, up from less than 7 million now. But theft could undermine these efforts and deter farmers from investing in their crops. As the global coffee market grapples with high prices and rising thefts, the resilience of Uganda's coffee farmers is put to the test. Their struggle highlights a broader issue in the global food supply chain, where rising costs are driving crime and impacting livelihoods. Business Bureau, WION World is One.
Air taxis are seen as the future of travel, and now Indians could soon get to enjoy the benefits and luxury of flying taxis in a few years. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has announced that air taxis will soon be a reality in India. Speaking at the second Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference on Civil Aviation in the Indian capital, Prime Minister Modi assured delegates from 29 countries of the Indian government's strong commitment to advancing air mobility in the country. To support this vision, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation has unveiled new guidelines for certifying electric vertical takeoff and landing, in fact, these guidelines aim to promote the growth of air mobility while ensuring the safety of emerging technologies. These are electrically powered aircraft that hover, take off and land vertically. The electric aircraft is expected to become a key part, in fact, of India's aviation landscape. Additionally, India plans to roll out air taxis by 2026. In April, Interglobe Aviation Limited, which is Indian Airlines Indigo's parent company, announced that they have placed an order for 200 of these eVTOLs from the US firm Archer Aviation. Interglobe's air taxi service will start its flight operations from India's capital. Though the air taxi service is pricier than conventional app-based taxi services, of course, it promises to drastically cut down travel time. According to the claims made by the company, the air taxi will be able to transport passengers from New Delhi's Connaught Place to Haryana's Gurugram in just 7 minutes. Archer Aviation estimates a 7-minute flight from Connaught Place to Gurugram could cost passengers between 2,000 to 3,000 Indian rupees, which is nearly $23 to $35. The expense of air taxi rides could be a major financial strain for most people in India, who often prioritize cost over convenience. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off. Thanks very much for watching. Have a good weekend.
Everyone loves a contest. But sport isn't just about victory and defeat. When the GOATs in sport speak, you hear it first on WION.
You have to play good cricket over a period of time.
I actually pushed myself right out of the damn tournament.
We go beyond the stats. Our stories are quoted the world over.
At WION, sport is part of our DNA. Come, join us on this journey. Weekdays 6:30 PM IST, 1 PM GMT.
As Diljit Dosanjh announces his India tour, we tell you about the craze of the global pop icon. Take a look at all the bands that have made a huge comeback. And find out some lesser-known facts about the Australian Rose, Nicole Kidman. All this and much more with me, Isha Hanspal, at these times only on WION E-Club.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street, to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets. WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
This week on Tech It Out, we bring you some interesting gadgets from the recently concluded tech show IFA 2024. We show you a robot that can fly like Iron Man. And we explain why the high-speed transportation system Hyperloop is back in headlines. This and more on WION World is One at these times.
This week on the West Asia Post, Iran's missile supply to Russia stirs fear. Tehran denies the charge. West slaps new sanctions. We decode the shifting dynamics in geopolitics. Israeli strikes pound Gaza without mercy. Safe zones? No longer safe. The IDF targets southern Gaza, hitting designated shelters. In the West Bank, tensions explode. Israeli raids push the region toward chaos. EU warns West Bank becoming a new Gaza. Jordan's moderate Islamist opposition makes huge gains in parliamentary election.
Watch the West Asia Post with me, Radi Francis, only on WION. World is One.
Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
Everyone loves a contest. But sport isn't just about victory and defeat. When the GOATs in sport speak, you hear it first on WION.
You have to play good cricket over a period of time.
I actually pushed myself right out of the damn tournament.
We go beyond the stats. Our stories are quoted the world over.
At WION, sport is part of our DNA. Come, join us on this journey. Weekdays 6:30 PM IST, 1 PM GMT.
Namaste. Hello, friends. We did Dr. Subhash Chandra show, popularly known as DSC show, for 4 years, from August 2014 to August 2018. 28 states of Bharat. Of course, we reached out to all of you in 190 countries across the world. The show was very successful. Each episode was being watched by almost 25 million people every week. For past 6 years, the demand of the show has never died down. People write to us, people ask for the show to restart again. Hence, we are beginning the show once again on All Z Network, also on WION, which is the global network channel from India. Again, thank you for your love and affection. See you soon at Subhash Chandra Show.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the US.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players. Right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of. A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA. Join the conversation.
Vielleicht nur